New tonight, taking action to see what's being done to protect children. This week, we told you about these 5 Ohio children. Every one of them died within the last 15 months, and every one of them had contact with Franklin County Children's Services before their deaths. And tonight, their parents or caregivers are charged in their deaths. So tonight, we are taking action. 10 Investigates reporter Rochelle Aline sat down with FCCS leaders to discuss their role in protecting these kids. She joins us now with what she's learned. Rochelle?
You know, Colin, over the course of 30 minutes, I pushed them for answers when it comes to accountability and the role that they played in protecting those children. Here's a snippet of that conversation. In this case, we know that 5 kids have died in the last couple of years. These are kids that have experienced abuse and neglect at the time of their death. Is your office responsible? What responsibility do you guys hold in that case?
I think that we're all responsible, the entire community. You hear us say a lot that we can't do this work by ourselves. There's no one individual, no one system that can help keep our kids safe. And so we definitely share the concern with the community.
But taking the greater community out of it, what responsibility does FCCS bear in those deaths?
So part of what we have tried to do over these last several weeks, several months, even as we think back to some of these older cases, is really look at each of them and see what is it that causes us alarm.
When do you guys anticipate having answers to those questions?
If there are times that the police are called to that home, that not necessarily would be anything that would raise to the occasion of them having to report it to us, because maybe the child's not involved, maybe it's a different type of call that brings the police there. In the past, we wouldn't know about that. But one of the changes that will soon happen is that we're working with Columbus Police to get that report on a very regular basis.
Do you have a timeline for when that program will start between you and CPD?
Within weeks.
Let's talk about the case of Martonio Wilder. This is a child that died from malnutrition and abuse, and a caseworker saw him within a week of his death. The community wants to know, how does a caseworker miss something like that? And in all these children's deaths, has anybody internally been held responsible?
Yes, we're not going to talk about any of the specifics of a case, so I can't get into any of those specifics about any particular case.
But has anybody been held accountable in general for these 5 deaths?
I think as a community, we're being held accountable.
But I mean FCCS, not the community.
Again, we're not going to talk any specifics about the cases, but I can tell you that, again, we are reviewing every case and determining where are those gaps, where are those opportunities for us to do something different. Our ultimate goal every time is to see a family reunified safely. Let me reemphasize that. We want to see a family reunified safely, but in order to be there, we know that there are going to be needed tools and resources to help make them stronger.
Sure, but in these 5 cases, these kids were not safe with their guardians or their intimate partners. And so, again, I do want to just circle back to where FCCS comes into that. Well, let's talk about removals, right? That's a question we had from the community. At what point do you all step in and say, as much as we want to keep kids with their families, you are not safe to be with this child? When do you guys make that call?
We make that call anytime we receive an allegation of abuse or neglect. We're going to complete a thorough assessment. That assessment is very dependent on the information that we're provided, on the information we observe when we're in the homes.
But at what point is a removal initiated?
So we don't have the unilateral authority to remove a child. We have to do so with the help of either law enforcement or juvenile court.
And again, that's just a snippet of the 30-minute conversation we had with FCCS leaders. This is also a story that doesn't end here. 10 Investigates and 10 TV will continue to push for answers in connection to those 5 deaths. For now in Columbus, Rochelle Aline, 10 TV News.